Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Good Gut Live. We are so excited to be here live with you on Friday. For those watching live, and we'll say this all throughout, you can ask questions live. So in the chat box you're seeing, wherever you're watching this, you can ask us questions as we get into just a really great discussion. This is the overlap we see. This is kind of the bigger picture, also meeting the smaller picture of individual health all the way to planetary health. So we're so excited to have the topic of like, what is the gut health benefit to a zero waste lifestyle or this eco-friendly, or if you're more on the environmental side of why you're healthy or why you do the things you do. And for those of you that are more like, well, what about my health? And so all of these things are going to intersect today. We're going to get into it with Thea Pauley, who's here, the owner, the founder of Eco Now, which is the best in Southern California, I'd say, when it comes to an eco-friendly store that's all about just zero plastic or definitely no single-use plastic, reusing, really that prevention side of going, why even bother with plastic when you can have other options and then continue to refill everything from makeup to lotions to body washes and then some, and we'll get into that. But Thea, did I please add to that? Anything else you'd add?
Yeah, I started my company 6 years ago because I saw that there was a huge gap in the market for resources for our community to have alternatives to plastic consumption. You know, we go to the conventional department stores, we go to the grocery stores, and we are inundated with so much plastic packaging on our food, on our body products, like you were saying, skincare, makeup. And for me, it's always been about the physical waste of it. Like I was always very much motivated by seeing piles of trash, like coming outside of the trash cans, and then seeing how on our street we would have trash cans lined up. Everybody in the community is sending their 55-gallon trash can full every week. And that was always my motivation because I thought there's somewhere that this is going. Where is it going? I started doing some research and come to find out that there's plastic islands in our ocean. And to me, 10 years ago, reading that, I was devastated. Like, this is not sustainable. How are we going to get around this? And so I started researching, like, where can I go to practice or shop plastic free? And what steps could I take? And I learned all about like bring your own utensils, bring your own water bottle, bring your own bag, doing all the eco basic things. And I really adopted those things. And uh, it just became such an obsession for me. And like I said, I noticed there was a huge gap in the market when I was practicing this lifestyle. And that light bulb went off, and I was thinking, somebody should really do this. And I remember somebody telling me, if you ever say that to yourself, that means you should be the person that does it. So I was like, oh wait, is this my moment? And yeah, I mean, 6 years later, and we're rocking and rolling. Like we were talking about before, we've got 5 store locations where you can bring your own container to refill on soaps, shampoos, all organic laundry soaps, like you said, plastic-free makeup, plastic-free brushes, and then we have the exciting news of going into grocery later this year. So yeah, we're just trying to make plastic go away.
I love that. And it's yeah, Laguna Beach, Costa Mesa, list the locations because we have
Yeah.
a lot of local people, but like this is
Yeah.
all Southern California. I think Riverside, right? And then what are
Anaheim,
the
Garden Grove. Yeah.
Anaheim Garden Groves? That's a huge area. And I know we frequent closest for us is Laguna Beach and we love it. Like we go
Yeah.
and get our dog shampoo there. Our daughter gets our shampoo. We like to refill or get our like natural perfumes there that we use that
Mhm.
so we're super sensitive to smells and that's where we can get into all that as well. But before that, so this was would you say your journey I mean, I'm sure it was before the 6 years because 6 years ago you started Eco Now, but well, like how long before that were you just absorbing and going like, I'm obsessed with this?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm originally from the Midwest, and I had something just speak to me when I was just getting out of college to move west. And I ended up in California, and I was already adopting more of a eco-conscious, just conscious consumerism, really. And when I got here, I was like, I'm going to be with my people. And then I get here and I'm like, whoa, like where is everybody at? I thought it was going to be like bike lanes, holistic living, just left and right. And I couldn't find those pockets, and it took me a while to find some access to it. And yeah, so I just continued to do that lifestyle. So we're talking about, like, my journey really started about 15 years ago, but I do remember
Wow.
when I was a kid, really significant moments of just noticing like how we handle waste. When I grew up on my farm, uh, we burned our garbage. We had no
Mhm.
access to curbside waste until about I was in high school. So I remember
Wow.
thinking, this is so strange, right? And then I researched and found out that a majority of our waste is actually incinerated anyway. So it's pretty common that we would do that. And then now that we have those, you know, access to curbside waste management, now it's just being smushed together and sent to a landfill or sent to the ocean. Um, Majority landfill. So I digress, but the journey was a long time. And I look back and I realize I definitely had those moments when I was in my youth of like actions of minimalism, actions of like conscious sustainability. And then growing and moving to California and being in this environment where I think everybody around the country and the world thinks of California as green and eco and holistic, and then when they get here, or we get here, it's like this isn't what it's portrayed to be.
You found consumerism.
Yes, exactly.
Buy, buy, buy. Keep shopping. Keep.
Heightened consumerism for sure.
It's so funny when just as a note, like when people from the East Coast or like Midwest come here, it's crazy because I even noticed this. I've grown up Southern California, born and raised, but there's pockets, and I think it's become more and more prevalent where the thing to go do is walk at a shopping mall. Like the
Mhm.
thing to do here is go to the mall, go to so locally we have the Irvine Spectrum, or like, and some places are cool. Like you're at the anti-mall, which is
Right.
like kind of, I love that name because it's like anti-consumerism in a way, but we're still like in a shopping location. Like that's the thing to do is outdoor shopping, and you just walk around and hang out and grab a
Yes.
bite to eat, but you
Yes.
also purchase something, buy something.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's wild. It is pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm in a unique industry too because we are encouraging people to consciously consume and consume less, but we also are a profitable business for profit, so we have to get people to come to our stores and shop. But fortunately for me, it was a win-win because I know that we're practicing the most sustainable practices on our end of things, and then the consumer as well is benefiting from this by bringing their own container, reducing their plastic, having local options. But yes, it is interesting because we are still part of that consumer society.
Yeah, but no, but you're solving a problem. I always say,
Definitely.
like, even and just to parallel that, because that's where I think I got plugged in, and I've always noticed these things from a young age, and just you start to question like why are we doing this? And especially when you can go back not that far, and it wasn't that long ago we didn't put things in plastic, and we didn't
Yeah.
have as much plastic. Like it really, I mean, people are still alive. Like that's my parents' generation and definitely my grandparents. And so you start to question these things, and then it parallels nicely because we started our business out of a need as well. And really, if you think about it, like, oh, if we're actually trying to heal people, doesn't that put us out of a business, out of a job as a private practice? Like kind of our core statement internally is like, yeah, let's hopefully there'll be a day where you don't need an integrative dietitian, where you'll just everything will be so healthy, you're not chronically ill, and you know how to eat and what to eat. I don't know if I'll ever see that day in my lifetime, but it's a nice thought. But for you, it's kind of similar. Like, what if everyone was so sustainable and just so in tune with their surrounding environment? We didn't have to purchase so much, and we could be just more in that cycle, in tune with nature a little bit. So I think it's a cool concept. There's definitely a need, and I don't think you're going out of business anytime soon. So don't worry.
No, I'm not worried. And honestly, I
No,
prefer
yeah,
it, like what you're suggesting. I'm sure you would too, because it sounds like a society that,
be
we
great.
wouldn't maybe be so driven by profit or so driven by needing to like keep consuming and keep this convenient culture, afloat. Because I think that that's what a lot of it is that we are humans that are going so fast.
Mhm.
We're got so much going on, and in that your health declines, and
Mhm.
then your consumption and your consciousness and your habits are not always in tune with nature, really.
Mhm.
And that's what you're saying, how 50 years ago, or probably now more than that, when they started to
Mhm.
do the whole plastic boom, I think people's lives and families' lives were structured much differently. And now, you have husband, wife, or your couple, both of you are working, and your kids are going off to school, and there's a lot of things happening, and it's a very fast paced lifestyle. And therefore, the plastic, the convenience, the fast food comes in, and you're kind of part of that system again too. Like, if you've got healthy clients, then you don't have a doctor's office that's necessarily flourishing for profit so much.
It gets deep. Like it gets deep into where we kind of you keep going layer by layer, and you go like this. There's this like greed bubble at the bottom. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. How?
Yeah,
Wow, this is pretty deep.
it does. Yeah,
But we can.
when you go that far, there's some very systematic issues happening. But again,
Yeah.
we're doing what we can, and I'm hoping for a future of where this is more prevalent, this is more accessible, and what we're doing isn't so niche. It's actually, maybe part of every local neighborhood. Just bringing things more local too. Like, locally, if we have our products made here, we're keeping the money here, keeping income in our communities, keeping taxes in our communities. Like, everybody benefits from that, and the planet benefits from that. Like, it makes most sense to go in that direction. So we have to be the people that are kind of paving that way and figuring out what works and what doesn't work, to be able to have viable business plans and models to be able to succeed. And then hopefully in the far future, it's just normal.
I love that. And yeah, because you can get caught up in like the biggest picture and I have to solve this massive problem, but it's like, okay, what can you do? And I love that where you're just bringing it locally where it can be a private practice, it can be a local business that's going, look, we're going to do our part no matter what. And it starts with little micro goals or these micro changes in
Mhm.
you, in your household. We're all about that. What would you say, whether it was initially when you started or even now or thinking about the last 5 to 6 years, like what was like the product or where it was like, you know what, we really need this? Like, was it a group of products where like that has been a
Yeah.
staple, whether it's most popular, whether like, oh, this has been definitely our go-to or yeah, the need that was there, I
Yeah.
guess.
When I started my business, I was very much into the retail aspect of reusable, like, towels, or like a bamboo dish scrubbers, or plastic free body scrubbers. And my husband was the one that was like, "Hey, you have to check out this refill trend that's happening." And so I started to do some research, and that's when I realized there's this really, like, emerging industry around refilling your own containers. And I was like, oh
Mm,
wow, that looks like a lot of work. But then I realized that that's really the bulk of what people are interested in. They want to reduce their plastic packaging by that. So I was like, I guess we're doing that. And so I started to research companies that would sell to me in these 5 gallon containers or 55-gallon drums. And then I asked, can I send these containers back to you and you guys refill them?
mm,
And that was like the bursting moment for our company when I incorporated those offerings. It was game over. Everybody was talking about it, wanting to share about it on social media. Thought it was such an interesting concept, and really significantly help people reduce waste in their home. So I would say the refilling aspect, ironically enough, wasn't what the game plan was, but was the juice in the beef of the situation. And then I would say, the things that necessarily don't turn us a profit, but make a lot of people have eyes on us,
mhm,
is the talk conversations about composting, conversations about, like, clothes swapping, and events where we do repair cafe type of stuff, where you bring your own
mm,
product that you need to get fixed. Instead of throwing it out, we're going to help each other as a community. So these things, they're not ticketed events. They're normally free events,
mm,
especially if you're in our loyalty program. That's a whole other thing. But those are the things that really gave us a lot of recognition as a company, because, and again, it goes back to that conversation about localization. I noticed that the people who want to refill, the people who want to practice sustainability also want to be involved in their community. And so it's a whole encompassing business model where it's, we have the consumer retail refill, and then we've got these community events to bring people together so that you have a whole ecosystem around it where people can really get that fill of action. Because
Mhm.
how I started my company was I wanted there to be physical, results in real time, not just, you know, you wanted to see your waste reduce, and you wanted to see community get together and all these things. So I would say that those have been the best part of the company and what really driven us through for this long and continues to sustain us.
It is so cool. It makes so much sense, and I love that when you just kind of let it happen organically, and it's just like, oh, I think, yeah, the retail side of like, yeah, the bamboo toothbrushes and all
Yeah,
these things, but then it's like, yeah, the refill is genius because it does. I mean, from a business, you put on your business hat, and it's like, oh, you're getting like repeat customers, like they're coming back to refill, and you are the go-to spot to refill.
yeah,
We come back to refill, like
right,
there's a Ralph's right down the street. We could easily go buy dog shampoo, but the combination for us is like you're getting the quality, you're getting the high-end dog shampoo, you're getting the phthalate free, the BPA free, the quality product, even at sometimes a cheaper price than you'd get at your local Ralph's or whatever's on your corner, and it's worth it. Like
yeah,
we when we're in Laguna, we plan like, oh yeah, eco now, let's fill up our bottles, and it just becomes part of the rotation because you're like, it's a good deal, it's easy to do, and we're getting a great product. Like it's a win across the
right,
board, and we're coming back. So that's like
right.
totally
And th
genius.
and then there's that extra layer where then we have people tied in emotionally to us because we do all these community events. So
Yeah.
it feels more than just a store, and that's definitely what I wanted from the beginning, where my whole, like, original idea was to have a community space where we could have different, types of businesses inside of one space that solved all different types of sustainability issues. And that was my original, and then it evolved into what Eco Now is now. But it's exactly that, where it's a good business model where you can bring people back, and then also to we are fulfilling our own personal needs of wanting to do something good for the community, all
Hmm.
while having this business. So it's been a really amazing experience, and I feel like I am so blessed because I get to fulfill my, like, personal mission and get
Yes.
to have a company out of it.
I love it. On that note, because you mentioned the community and the events, someone's asking, where's the Riverside location? And then since they're asking, where's the Riverside, are these at all your locations or at specific sites where you do the events?
Yeah, we try to find locations that will be complementary to our events. It's
Mm,
kind of definitely something we have to check off when we look at a new location. And in Riverside, we're at the Farmhouse Collective, and that is a great venue. It's a new space. We're still working out the kinks as a collective. There's new businesses there. Some businesses this is their first business. Some businesses aren't open yet because they're still going through construction. So it's definitely been an interesting thing to see. But the Farmhouse Collective is so unique in that in the 1960s it was a motel, and it
mm,
was a very popular motel. And people would come in from Palm Springs back and forth to LA, Orange County, and this was their pit stop. And it was just happening, I guess. This is what I heard. And then it kind of went to the wayside in like the 70s and the 80s, and it's kind of been sitting there untouched for years.
mm,
And the Bailey family in Riverside purchased the motel, I think maybe 10 years or so ago. It's been a
mm.
long time coming. And they were able to, if you keep the certain structures of the motel or any building, it's a considered historical landmark. And so there's benefits to that too, to be able to
Yeah.
do that. So they kept the structure of the building. So it's a reused building, which I love. And all of the units and stores and restaurants in the Farmhouse Collective used to be previously motel rooms for the most
Wow.
part. And you can see it when you go there. You're like, oh yeah, this was a motel. And it's pretty neat because it's the structure's all there and they restored it, and it's a beautiful project, and there's a great space where they have a green area that can house pop-up market events, and that's one where we've been hosting our clothing swap events there. And we opened there in March, so we're still getting our feet wet, but yeah, we host a clothing swap there every 2 months so far. I think it's every 2 months. And that comes up on our Instagram, on our website. You can see, sign up for that. But yeah, we're a part of that awesome collective, and it's been really fun to be alongside other small businesses. And there's also a lot of music events there because they have a stage, and they bring in like comedy. You can do open mic night. They have concerts and just so many different things. So it's a really good vibe, and people, I think, there who are shopping there or eating there, they understand what we're trying to do at Eco now, and it's a good synergy in that situation.
That's like a perfect locate. I mean, talk about, you can't get better than that, where the actual location is almost repurposed and being
Exactly.
refurbished and is eco in and of itself, where they didn't just tear it down or throw it away and build like a new modern design. It's like, no, let's
Exactly.
reuse it. It's so perfect.
Yes, it
And yeah, the
is.
idea of clothing swap, I mean, there's so many layers to this. And why, I mean, just very quickly, why we're interested in this is we see the area of research, as obviously anyone who listens to us, or if you're new here, we love the microbiome, and the area of research that connects to this is the exposome. And that's essentially the genetic interference, let's say, or the genetic connection, the entire connection between our body and everything outside of our body that affects it. And that is where you live, where you work, the inside of your car, the clothing, the products. And we see this more so in women, because women, I mean, it's fact, use more products than men, right? I definitely use way less products than my wife does, with makeups, with lotions and hairsprays and things like that. So you guys are exposed. This exposome is much larger for females on average, and it got us, I mean, very early on questioning, what does this do to our health? What is this doing to our body, even before the exposome was even named? And now we're seeing research in this area of going, oh yeah, these, now we're hearing more like things like phthalates and microplastics, and the list goes on and on. So is your community aware of that? Like, how are you hearing this, aware of
Yeah.
this? I mean,
Yeah.
was this also in your thought process 6 years ago, 10 years ago, or how's that been evolving?
Yeah, like I said, when I started the company, it was all about the physical for me. Like physical waste, I would see it. And I'm like, I need to do something about this. I'm a very practical person where I just need to reduce that. And if I can see that result, then I'm happy. But it was when I started to do research for sourcing products to carry in my store that I realized a lot of the companies that were willing to work with me on that closed loop where I can send the stuff back were the companies that were also practicing natural ingredients. And so I thought, okay, there's a connection happening here. It's not only are we talking about plastic waste, but now we're talking about non-toxic. And so, as far as the ingredients go, and we can also talk about fabrics too. But so that idea developed more over time, but it wasn't until my first pregnancy where I started taking it very seriously. When I was probably 3 years into the company, I got pregnant, and that was when I really opened my eyes up to the customers that were very serious about the non-toxic. They were talking to me and asking me questions about ingredients, and I was always, giving them as much information as I could. But when I got pregnant and I was very conscious of what was going on my skin and how the health of the baby was, is when I was like, I think I want to take this to another level. And we started to research further on the phthalate free, the sulfate free, paraben, all of these things. And then I think our business definitely took a strong turn towards the most natural as we could get. And then, it's a whole thing too, though. I mean, it's you can't always check every single box. And
Yeah.
what people are asking for definitely varies. Some people are okay with this and not that and this and that. So you have to navigate all of those needs. But yeah, the non-toxic has definitely become intertwined with
Mhm.
the zero waste and the plastic free aspect. And some people come into us just for that. And, they only are looking for the clean ingredient. And some
Mhm.
people are like, I don't really care. I would have people who are like, can't I just refill my Tide laundry soap with you? And I'm like, no, it's like that's not how it works. Like, I'm like, I don't think Tide really cares. So I'm
Yeah.
never gonna be able to offer that. But exactly though, we're like, well, wouldn't it just be easier if we just had Dawn dish soap? And I'm like, yeah, no. It's not, there's definitely crossing happening.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, because I mean, but you have to appreciate like, okay, you're using Dawn dish soap or Tide, but you're interested, right? You're like, hey, can
Right.
I refill it? Like
Yeah.
that's a step in the right direction,
100%.
and
We always love those seeds, right? We got to plant those seeds. And
that's
we
it.
always are optimistic about that too. Because we have people who come into our store and they're like, you could just see the puzzles on their face. And they're just like, what is going on here? And I always tell my team, like, it's okay if people come and they look at us and they're just like, this is so weird. Because if you did your pitch and you talked to them about what we're trying to do, you have no idea that seed got planted, and it could be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or they kind of wake up and they think about it like, huh, that is
Hmm.
interesting. And that's really what we're trying to do here is help people understand that this isn't just some, greenwashing thing. Like we are really actually successfully taking action to reduce plastic, to help people's health, to bring our community together, to bring up our community businesses and brands. So yeah, it's a lovely intertwining experience.
It's so powerful. And yeah, like, and it is, it's usually, and that seed, and you don't know, it could be dormant there for a while, but then, like you said, whether it's someone getting pregnant or someone having a health scare, and it's the same for us, where it's like, oh, I heard about the microbiome, or I heard that on TikTok or on YouTube or on the news or whatever, or a little article or blog, and that seed's there, but then when it's like, oh, my chest is hurting, oh, my stomach hurts, or oh, I'm
Mhm.
pregnant now, or oh, what is on my skin, what am I putting, I've heard deodorant and there's heavy metals in there, and oh, and my lymphatic
Yeah.
system is now
Yes.
inflamed, maybe there's something. And so then they start to dive a little deeper, and it's like, it's wow, the impact I know eco now is having on people's health is where it made our ears perk up, and like, oh wow, eco now is really cool. Like, this is important. This is something
Right.
that it's not just people who are interested in the environment should support. It's people who are, one, it's all health professionals should support. It's anyone interested in their health and
Mhm.
even the health of the environment. I know for me, like, people ask, I know we're more plant-based. We're in that arena and like more plant-friendly. And we'd always get that question like, oh, what was it? Is it the animals? You're
Mm.
vegan and this? It's like, well, I mean, I appreciate that, and definitely I don't want to hurt animals. For me, it was actually like health and environment. Like, I understood, hey, these billions of animals we're killing is not sustainable. Like, when there's swamps of feces, it's not sustainable for the environment. And I think in the same way, these textile mills, right? Or even, I think even just focusing, if we can, on just the everyday people, those using Dawn dish soap. What's the big deal? Well, it's important for us to think, where's that water going from your sink, right? And I think you growing up in a rural community, you knew where that water's going, or
Yeah.
maybe you had a septic tank and you saw it
Mhm.
being pumped out
Mhm.
and it was right there for you. Here in LA and Orange County, it's like, bye, don't think about it, whatever,
Right.
throw whatever down the sink. But
Yeah, exactly.
it's bigger than that. Like, where does anyone know where that goes? It's going to our treatment plants, and there's Oso Creek. I don't know if you've ever been by Oso Creek. It's our local creek here, and it ends up there. The things we spray on our lawn, the things we put down our sink, it ends up in our local creeks, and that's where Layla and I, our 10-year-old daughter, it's my dream to one day just swim in that creek. Like, it'd be so nice to go swimming there. I don't dare because there's a golf course not that far, because there's so many chemicals that just won't get filtered
Yeah,
out. And it's like,
exactly.
And you are helping with that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that for me too, like when I got pregnant, I was really recognizing the amount of stuff I was taking in, the lotion I was putting on, the soap I was washing my dishes with, this clothing that I was wearing, the water I was drinking. And that's when I kind of had this aha moment of it's not supposed to be this perfect situation where you're able to keep all of these toxins away from you. The idea is that you're being inundated with so much of it in the air, in the water, and all that, that if we can do little things, then we're protecting our body that much more,
Mhm.
and just reducing the impact that we have. For me, I just get so surprised when I see, young children eating heavily processed food on the daily, right? And then drinking out of plastic, fruit pouches or plastic water bottles, and then they're putting on fragrance lotion, and they're running around in air that's not the cleanest. And to me, I realize it's a very heavily, toxic environment, and we have to protect ourselves in little ways, and hopefully ultimately in big ways, because it is impacting us, it is impacting our health, in so many ways, whether it be right now or further down the road.
Yeah, that compound effect, right? Where
Exactly, that the
and that
compounding effect.
yeah, it's just layer upon layer upon layer, and then you find yourself, yeah, where as a kid you maybe didn't notice, but we see in our patients like now they're in their 30s and going, yeah, I think I have been constipated since I was 6, and it's just
Yeah,
been building and building and building, and oh, I didn't think of all these layers, and now it's a perfect storm just completely
yeah.
hitting them. What would you say? I mean, I'm sure you get lots of questions on this, but like, what have you noticed in your own life, like the biggest difference? I know you said when you got pregnant and started making changes, but was there like, man, I've changed this and never gone back, and I know I've felt a difference, or have you,
Yeah.
or you hear from your customers of like, when I got rid of whatever this, it was like, whoa. Uh,
Yeah. So one of the things I love about Eco Now is the biggest compliment we get when they walk into the store, we hear it all the time, all day, every day, that people go, "Wow, it smells amazing in here." Right? It does. It's a
yeah,
great smelling store, and
it
I
does.
always tell people, it's natural fragrance. It's natural. Fragrance is essential oils. It's not synthetic. It's all. They're like, well, what is the one product that I can get to make my house smell like this? I'm like, well, you can get everything from Eco Now, and then your house will smell like this.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, it was that where
Mm,
when I switched over to like our laundry soap, our dish soap, our shampoo, and natural deodorant, I noticed my senses,
mm.
my scent. I couldn't go into the cleaning product aisle at, let's say, a Target
I
without
was gonna
being like,
say,
"What is
compare the going into the cleaning product aisle to going to Eco Now. It's night and day. Like you
exactly?"
want to take a deep breath in Eco Now and go, ah, it's like it actually lifts your mood.
Exactly. That was it for me, because I really couldn't. And then I've
Mm,
been to, friend's house or relative's house, and I can smell their shampoo or their body wash from the other side of the house.
mm,
You can smell their fragrance candle, and it's just filling the whole house, and they're so used to it.
right.
And that's what got me, or the sensitivity, and being able to really just like experience your environment without having all these like habits of all of these things just hitting your body all the time. That was the point where I'm like, there's no going back. Like if Eco Now ceases to exist, for
Mhm.
whatever reason,
Yeah.
uh, we would never go back to the fragranced Tide or Dawn, or any of the Suave shampoo, or the aluminum filled deodorant. It's so second nature for us now, and I'm so grateful for that.
Mhm.
And to see other people starting to make those switches, I know, I talk about this with my customers all the time. Is when you turn on to Eco Now, it's really hard to turn it off, because your mind starts to go, huh, this and this and that and this, and then you just kind of start to take it all in, and you get really deep with it, because you realize it's everything in
Yeah.
your life.
Oh
that you've
yeah.
just been so conditioned to think this is normal. Like paper towels, like so many people think paper towels are so normal, but then when they see, oh, this is an option for reusable paper towels, such a great idea. I'm like, yeah, isn't it such a great idea? We've been doing it for hundreds and thousands of years using reusable towels. For some
Yep.
reason in the past 50, we just thought let's do this single use paper towel. It's crazy, but we'll hopefully bring
Yeah.
people back there.
There's so much there. I want to say two things. Well, first thing, because yeah, there's so much there with the paper towel aspect, but like the first thing is that yeah, the smell, the fragrances,
Yeah.
and just to like because that was so even like 15 years ago we were aware of that and it was so woo woo where like our own family would dismiss it like you're crazy and I mean you hear it all from family,
Yeah. Oh
friends,
yeah.
and colleagues and stuff and so it's like no, but now the research, I mean, we look at histamine receptors, when you look at plastics and fragrances elicit a histamine response
Hmm.
and that is a nervous system and immune system response. That is an inflammatory response. We want histamines in our body.
Right.
However, we're now figuring out these fragrances. Let's just focus on that because there's so many things. But these fragrances, let's say, will overactivate these histamine receptors. And these histamine receptors are head to toe all over our body. So I remember growing up and I mean, Bath and Body Works was huge growing up, and I'm sure I don't know if you guys had that in the Midwest. I assume you
Oh
did,
yeah.
but it was in the mall, and you just walk by it, and it was. I feel like it's not as common. I don't know. I don't go to the mall that often, but I mean, but every woman in my life, I feel like as a teenager, was just full of Bath and Body Works and hairspray and all, and it was just like, oh. And I remember getting horrible migraines, and once I became aware. I remember reading a book at like 17 or 18 that made me aware and I was like, oh wow, I didn't even think of that. When I started making switches, now I've never gotten a migraine since then. And it was huge. And come to find out, oh, there's yeah, histamine receptors in my brain and we're all a little susceptible in certain areas. And for me it was the headache aspect.
Hmm.
I was so susceptible to headaches and migraines.
Hmm.
And again, it's not just the fragrances, but that was huge and something that's always stuck with me. And I remember that from an early age of just making that switch and being aware. And I still have, fights with certain family members who don't want to switch. And it's like, okay, fine,
Yeah.
but it's totally up to you. But can you keep your distance from me?
Right.
I might not
Exactly.
hug you as often, but that's okay if it's okay with
Exactly.
you. And you
It's
just,
exactly that. The
yeah.
fragrances are just a big one. And but I will say too, like I definitely noticed an increase in my quality of health when I started to switch over to all Eco Now products. And
Hmm.
it's interesting to me because now I do see other people deal with certain health issues. And at the beginning, when I started Eco Now, I would be like screaming from the rooftop, "This is what's happening! Like, I promise you, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Try it." And now I realize that doesn't work. So I sit back and I wait. And now I have, my siblings who at the beginning when I started my business, they were like, you're crazy. This is never going to work. Nobody's interested. It's all, greenwashing. It's all like fake, information. You think that stuff is better, but it's not. That was the initial. And now, 5, 6 years later, Taya, like, what do you think about this product? Is this one
Mhm.
clean? Is this one, So it's that where people again the seed planting and just going into these new phases of people realizing and waking up to it. It's been really nice, and I'm happy because I've been having good health, and now I can see like they are going to continue to have good health. That's one of the other things too, where I see a lot of women having problems getting pregnant, and I
Yeah.
can't help but think like, and I don't you don't comment about it, but you can't help but think about all of the stuff that we have been just put onto us for so long and how that could definitely be impacting our ability to procreate.
Most definitely, and we know. I mean, the research is pretty sound, and it's built up way where it's built up in a way where there's now meta-analyses that is indicating that, and this umbrella, whether it's phthalates and dioxins, and I mean, the list of chemicals are vast.
Yeah.
We're in the
Yeah.
thousands, but the umbrella of many of these chemicals are EDCs, endocrine disrupting
Yeah.
chemicals. And when you think of what is the endocrine system, well, the endocrine, another way to say that is our hormones. And what
Right.
do hormones do? They help us get pregnant, they help us have energy, they help. The analogy I like to give in the gut is like, okay, we eat food and that's our prebiotic. We can think of that like the soil and the compost. We plant seeds, that's like the probiotics that
Hmm.
become the plant. The postbiotic are the fruits. But in between that are the neurotransmitters and hormones. Think of those like the bees and the flowers. And so that's an important aspect that gets missed where a lot of people aren't going, oh, well, are my hormones optimal? And realizing, oh, all these chemicals are classified as endocrine disruptors, literally
Hmm.
hormone disruptors. So, like, everything else could be good, but if the bee is never getting to the flower, that fruit's not going to come. And so,
Right.
it's beautiful in what you're saying where it's nice to just do the action and then people start to see your fruit and go, wow, you
Right.
have way more fruit, or you have this peace about you, and you seem so healthy, and your
Right.
kids are so healthy. And that was one thing for us, was like our 10-year-old daughter is so healthy. Hey, let me ask. And family starts to be like, what are you guys doing, or what do you think about this, exactly like
Hmm.
you're saying, because they start to see like, wow, your fruit is really producing, literally and metaphorically. And oh, hey, what do you think about? And then they start asking, and that's always way
Yeah.
better than you screaming at
Yeah.
them,
Exactly. Yeah.
even though it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It is hard. I've done it enough to know that it just doesn't work. So the
Yeah.
planting of the seed and then living it is definitely the most successful from my experience, to having other people convert versus me being like, no, you got to do this and you have to buy this, you have to get this instead. But it's exactly that where we, I'm so grateful. I'm very healthy and my kids are really healthy and my husband, and I think about all the whole foods that we eat, and I think about the non-toxic products that we use, and just the everyday lifestyle that we have that allows us to be the most productive people,
Hmm.
to be able to in turn, help our community and be a part of like a thriving, environment where we can all live together and have productivity and successful, business or events or whatever it may be. But it literally is all entwined, and our ecology and our environment, both internally and externally, it all matters. And these things all add up to be able to have ultimately the energy to go and do this.
It's most definitely all connected, 100%. And well, what do you think, are there any current headlines? Because one I've seen, I wanna just hit on this quickly, or not quickly, whatever, however deep you want to go. But so there's headlines, and I think a lot of our viewers and community know, like, headlines are very sensational and the media is trying to get clicks and all that.
Mhm.
But there's one headline I've been seeing a lot of where it was saying glass now has more
Mm.
microplastics than plastic. I
Yeah,
don't know if you've come across that, or your thoughts on that, but yeah.
I, it's interesting. I thought originally, I was like, that doesn't sound right. It's glass. But then I researched it, and it has a lot to do with the cap, the lid of the glass, right?
Yep. Yep.
And which I
Yeah,
thought
that's
was
what I.
interesting. So that one small bit of the lid is more destructive than the bottle. So to me, or the whatever it may be, the packaging of it, and I was like, that sounds like some marketing. I don't know what to see
Mhm.
the research, but it sounds like a way to, justify these companies who are continuing to practice these awful practices of just throwing out more and more and more and more and more plastic.
Mhm.
It's insanity. But yeah, for glass to have microplastics in the plastic lid is, trying to think of like a product that has glass that has, well, yeah, it makes sense because we have like, milk containers that are glass and then they have a plastic lid.
Yeah.
It's wild because there's plastic everywhere. We're learning too, the other headline, which I think is more accurate and has been around for a while, is that we're ingesting a credit card worth of plastic
Yeah.
on a weekly basis. You've heard
Yeah.
that one?
I've heard that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm just like, whoa, what is this going? Which is where kind of that bulk grocery store comes into play for us, because we have always, for us, when we started with the company, home health and beauty always made sense because there was nothing for that. There was no refill options, but you always had the bulk section at like a health food store, a Whole Foods or Sprouts,
Yeah.
Mother's. But uh, as time went on, those companies that offered that bulk section limited more and more your ability to bring your own container. Oh,
Yeah.
there's, cross contamination, or there's too much for them to train their staff, or whatever it may be, because they promote that they have bulk, but then when you go there, everybody's like deer in the headlights, like, what are you doing? And so when we were given the opportunity in Costa Mesa to potentially, open a grocery store, we were like, this makes perfect sense for us, like this time to
So
go.
excited.
This is the moment. And so for us to be developing our offerings into a grocery concept, to be able to reduce plastic and also to be a resource for people so they don't have to necessarily worry about the details of products, because we want people to be able to come in and feel confident that they can shop without having to put too much mental energy in it, and know that they're getting something organic, they're getting something that's sourced local, that's going to be supporting, a regenerative farm or a local farm, or all of the check marks. So we're really trying to dive deep into being that one-stop shop for plastic-free living and non-toxic living, organic, whole foods, and really just see, can we be a nice competitor to these other businesses that are just missing the mark, really.
When is that? When is that official? Because that's so exciting. This
It
is
really
like
is.
full circle for us, even as integrative dietitians, and going, yes, you're almost doing it all of like, I mean, all the eco products and now food, because that's one
Yeah,
thing where, I mean, so many of our patients and our community, even us, where sometimes we buy things in plastic. I mean, for the most part, we're going to the farmer's market, but then there's things at the
yeah,
farmer's market. I mean, you can't find everything at the farmer's market. So
no,
it's like we're buying that bag of rice and we're going, man, I wish
yeah,
it wasn't in a plastic bag, right? And
right.
so
Yeah.
when is this open? Is it open
Yeah,
already?
so we're at the, like we were talking about earlier, the Lab Anti Mall, and we have, that was where our original location was. I started my business in a little tiny Airstream trailer, and in 2019, and we've been evolved into like three different store units at the Lab Anti Mall, just slowly growing. And the lab had a long relationship with Urban Outfitters, and they were there since the very beginning in 1991. And funny enough, Urban Outfitters, this was their, at the Lab Anti Mall in Costa Mesa, that was their second location. So they were a little American business when they first signed on to the lab.
Wow.
And then over the past 30 years, they blew up, obviously.
Yeah.
And they ended their relationship. And this year they closed their store at Urban, or at the lab. Urban closed their store, and it's a massive unit. It's huge. And they broke it up. The lab broke it up into several different units, and we signed on for one of the units to open up a grocery store. It's the biggest store location that we've operated in to date. So it's really exciting, and we're getting contracted and permitted through the city and the county to offer food and get that seal of approval that we are functioning the way that we need to be able to offer these package free goods to our communities. So the timeline of everything right now is looking like, but hopefully by the end of the year we'll be open. It's things can change, but it is being pushed forward really, really on a good pace.
Wow.
And we're going to be open in Costa Mesa up until we move our offerings over into the bigger space. But yeah, the grocery concept should be in fruition later this year or very early next year. At which point we will be a haven for people who love to feel comfortable in an environment where you can bring your own container, and not only is it welcome, it's encouraged, and we
Hmm.
have the systems for it. And then, like we're talking about, natural foods, organic food, plastic free foods, niche products that you can't necessarily find plastic free, and we do plan to source a lot of it locally. How I started my business, I was going to a lot of farmer markets and doing a pop up. And so I've created a lot of relationships with people and businesses over the years that are local. And I'm starting to reach out to them to ask, hey, like, how do you guys feel about packaging your product in glass? And so we're toying with the concept of products that you maybe not necessarily be able to get plastic free. Can we package it in glass and then have the customer bring the glass back? So it's a return program. Yeah.
Ah,
So like imagine
so
like glass
exciting.
packaged tofu or, glass packaged salsas, but you can return that. So we are working on how that system might look, and we're hopeful that we've seen some other business models that are successful with it. So we're trying to incorporate that on the onset so people can have that full experience. But that's a big one for us is being able to have that return program. Yeah.
Again, so many positive layers in a time where we need consciousness, where we need
Yeah.
community, where we need a sense of responsibility of going like it's my responsibility to bring this glass
Mhm.
back, and
Yeah.
we can do that. We've seen it done. Like you said, there's models that work for this, and we're so lucky. We're so lucky that this is local to us. So
Yeah.
like, but it's supporting this and then replicating this elsewhere. This is so
Yeah.
exciting. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, tofu. Like we love tofu. We love tempeh. It's always in plastic.
Plastic.
Like
Always in plastic.
I
Yeah,
know
so
we
we're
can do
really we're
something.
really hoping to go into that niche stuff too, where it's you just can't find it, and
Yeah.
being able to check that box because that's really where the problems lie, right? Like if we're not answering that problem, then what are we doing? We got to. That's what we want to focus on is the things that you just have the most difficult time finding plastic free and be able to come up with a solution. And we're just excited because our business has always been very organic, very uh, like rooted in community and just growing naturally, and we know that our community is going to grow with us with this grocery store too. So we're
Yes.
hopeful and we're ready to take all of this feedback and then in turn make it the most ideal experience for our customers, because that's really what this is all about. We're not standing here saying we have all the answers. We're here to be like, we're going to be a resource for you all, and we can do this and offer this to you, and you guys can give us all of your takes on it, as well as if your ideas too. So we're coming up with a way where we can incorporate our community to help us answer key questions prior to the launch, so we can have the best solutions when we launch. But we also know that we're such a business of growth and growing into ourselves that it's going to be a really fun thing to experience alongside of our community, like the development of Eco Now Costa Mesa 4.0 grocery concept. It's really fun.
That's really fun. You have the full support of Mary Health and all of our
Awesome.
dietitians, so we're at your disposal. So I love it. We want to
Yeah.
see this
Yeah,
successful and grow and replicate.
yeah, we're this is a good collaboration too, because we are right in line with each other now, especially with the food. And I'm so looking forward to this event because
Yep.
we're going to be able to talk about with the community there about how these things intertwine as well. And
Yes.
maybe a lot of people didn't think that there was a connection. And I know when I've gone to your events in the past, meeting other people in the industry of good gut health and all of these things, I was like, we're kind of different here. But now I love that. I love that there's gonna be a really nice connection, and I'm excited to see everybody again.
If I could say, and I want to say this publicly, like we hope that because there's lots of retailers, there's lots of food manufacturers, lots of
Mhm.
brands who really fight to get space in grocery stores. We want
Yes.
Eco Now to be we want them fighting to get space in Eco Now Costa
Yes.
Mesa and going like, we want to change our packaging to get in there because it's so sought after, because people get it, because they realize, wow, this isn't just solving one problem, it's solving multiple problems at the same time. We're all about that.
Exactly.
And that's where, yeah. So if you want to learn more, make sure you connect with marytout.com and connect with Taya, and Taya, where can they connect
Yeah.
with you? How can they get into the community, get on you had the a points program, right? Which I know we're a part
Mhm.
of. Where
Yeah.
can they find all that?
Yes, come go onto our website, econowca.com. Otherwise, we're on Instagram, eco.now.ca, and we are always doing things in the community in Orange County, Inland Empire. And we're very active on our Instagram, where we post our events and our offerings and our updates. But yeah, we're again looking forward to being at this event too. So we'll be there if anybody wants to come there.
the Regenerative Nutrition Gut Health Experience, October 4th, where tickets are still available. If you're listening to this, and we'll have this be popping up in the next month and a half as well, even more, but you can use Save 200 to save a huge chunk off your ticket. But this is you're going to get eco now exposure and learn more
Yes.
on that, but it's also food. You're going to get regeneratively, organically, I mean, grown right there where you are, food for your meal. You're going to hear amazing talks. You're going to get a goodie bag that's going to be insane. You're going to get it all digitally recorded and get it a digital product for you to take home of all the talks and everything. So much. We're going to be giving away an air doctor and an aqua true so you
Oh,
can
wow.
filter your air, your water. So if you're buying this ticket, you're in store for so much. So it's gonna be
Truly.
really really fun on the biggest regenerative farm in Southern California. So you're gonna experience the farm. We're gonna tour the farm. You're gonna hear from one of the experts is Farmer Manju, who's amazing, and she's gonna take you through the farm. We're hopefully gonna pick some things that are in season and eat it right there and then, and it's an
Oh, I love it.
experience for sure. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. This has been, I mean, a journey. This has been so meaningful, and what you're doing is so meaningful. And you're a testament to like, you can take something that's like, this is important. I'm interested in this. I'm passionate about this, and make it a fruitful business that is just
Mhm.
growing and now growing into a space that hits our heart directly, and food, and it's like everyone eats, we need this food, and it shouldn't be adulterated, it should be
Right.
healthy truly, and that includes the packaging and the footprint of that food. So
Yes.
very excited. I almost can't wait till end of the year next
Yeah.
year, and it's very exciting. You're definitely going to see that if you're following us on our Instagram, and we plan to visit right when it opens. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, thank you so much as always, James. It's always a great time, and you guys always leave me so inspired too. Because, like you said, just little things can add up to be such a big thing, and
Yep.
not only for your personal self, but then into your community and into a business. It could be so much, and we have so much power as individuals, and just harness it and educate yourself, and don't take things too seriously, but also to know that you are powerful. I think that's
I
what I would
love
say.
it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome.
Totally agree. Well,
And you
thank you
guys
so
make me feel
much.
powerful.
Same. That's why it's the
Awesome.
vibe. It's the
I love
vibe.
it.
So I love it. Well, thank you, and thank you everyone for watching Good Gut Live. We really appreciate it. For those listening later on the Good Gut Live podcast, thank you so much. You could drop comments down below. You can make sure you connect with Eco Now. Make sure you connect with Mary Tell so you don't miss updates on the event coming up in October, other events in the future, the Eco Now amazing events in Southern California, and hopefully Eco Now will come to your state eventually
Yeah,
down the road. That's the hope, where Eco
that is
Now
the
is
hope.
all over the West Coast, Midwest, nationwide, and beyond. So that's
Got
that's
some
the
ideas,
future.
that's for sure. That would be amazing.
It'll be great. Well, thank you all so much. Until next time, feel with each meal and heal with each meal. We'll see you later on the Good Gut Live podcast. Bye, everybody.